This is the Pipkin and Turnbull show. Coming to you live or somewhat live on this awesome January 22nd day and night. Just super happy you guys are joining us tonight. As always, please leave us comments. Let us know what's going on, what you want us to talk about, anything that you're feeling. Let us know throughout kind of our talk today. Jamie, what do we got in store for us tonight?
All right, man, we're going to look back at the conference championship. We're going to kind of break down the Green Bay and San Fran game, and then we're going to look at the Tennessee and Kansas City game. Then we're going to move on, and we're going to talk about the Chiefs reaching the Super Bowl for the first time in 50 years. Then we're going to do a Super Bowl preview. And then we're going to we're going to ask a question and see if what you guys think. But is Patrick Mahomes, the MVP of all sports? So it's going to be a pretty good episode today. So diving in, man, what do you think of the Green Bay and San Francisco game?
Yeah, I mean, I didn't, I didn't think it would be quite such a dominant performance over the first three quarters by the 49ers. It's a whole different animal when you face that defense. And that's what it showed. Once again, you look at the teams with good O line play, where you are only having to throw the ball 8 times in a game and you can rush and win a game by that type of score. You're obviously going to win a game if you get those kind of statistics.
Yeah.
Uh, I think what's interesting about Green Bay, and I could see why Aaron Rodgers is so excited about coming back, is they got to the NFC Championship missing, some pieces that
Yeah.
are very fixable. Very very much you could add through the draft, through free agency. I think they need a couple more weapons. Part of that wide receiver core. Get
Hmm.
some O line help for Aaron Rodgers and the team. But Aaron Jones in the run game, they've got a lot to look forward for Green Bay. And, you've really got, I would say, definitely, I think 2 years, possibly three, of the Aaron Rodgers era. But,
Hmm.
but, uh, at the same rate, it, I kind of watched the beginning parts and then kind of turned it on and off because you could see very early on in the game kind of how it was going to go down. I don't know if you got that same
Yeah.
feeling or not.
Yeah. I was definitely feeling that too. I There was a couple times I was just like, yeah, this game's over, and I wanted to flip to something else. But as soon as I would do that, Green Bay would just be like, no, we're still here. But it basically it went the way I thought it was gonna go. I was surprised to see Aaron Rodgers, um, kind of make the decisions that he made. He threw in a lot of really tough coverages, and so that kind of surprised me. But Green Bay's San Francisco's defense, um, they just swarm you. That defensive line
Yeah.
is amazing, and I mean they're all former first round draft picks, and you can see it. I think wouldn't be too difficult to say that Nick Bosa is probably the better of the Bosa brothers, um,
Yeah.
and which is crazy because his brother's pretty good too.
Right.
But yeah, he it went the way that I thought it was going to go, but I thought Green Bay would keep it a little bit closer than what they did. But at the same time, the last time they played in the regular season, Green Bay got swarmed and were embarrassed. And so, but one thing that it was the running game. The running game kind of surprised me. Um, Mozart, I think he had like 220 yards rushing,
Yeah.
and then Garoppolo only had like 81 yards passing. It wasn't that much, and that surprised me a little bit because I kind of expected more from the passing game, but the running game definitely carried their offense in the championship game, and that was surprising
Yeah.
to me.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, you think about in 2020 that you can win the NFC Championship only throwing 8 passes. I mean,
Yeah,
that's insane. I mean,
yeah,
that's like no way. You tell that stat to anybody else, you're like, no way you're winning a game in 2020 with that type of performance.
yeah,
But San Francisco is, does what they do very well. They're very physical. You've got to give everything you've got against this team. That's what they've shown all season, that you aren't going to get out of there easily. And for
hmm
most, only twice. I think they only lost 2 games throughout the season, or 2 or 3. Um,
hmm
they only got beat those times. And
yeah,
it was an all or nothing type times for them too. So
hmm
uh, you know, and it didn't. Like I said, I just think there's a couple pieces on Green Bay that you add to, and that's gonna be a hard team to stop if they can figure out. I think just a couple things, but like I said at the beginning of the season, what's tough about the NFC North where Green Bay plays is that's not going to get any easier next year, though. At the same time, where you
hmm
got Minnesota, you got Detroit, and you got Chicago.
yeah,
They're all teams got talent, and so that NFC North is always going to be a division that's hard to win or hard to get through. And
hmm
so that's going to be the interesting part.
yeah,
Uh, but but yeah. But kudos to San Francisco and just dominating the line, the physicality, like they always do.
yeah.
Um, and that's kind of what I saw. The game that I'm sure you kind of checked into or kind of made your way into your Sunday. I'm sure you didn't plan your Sunday around a particular game or anything
No,
like
definitely
that. You
not.
didn't do any of that. Uh, you know, but I'm gonna let you. What were your thoughts from the Tennessee and Kansas City game?
um, I it just wild, man. Because I was sitting there, and Tennessee jumped out to a 10-point lead, and I was just like, part of me was going, all right, we were down 24-0 to the Texans. We can do this. But the other part of me was like, man, these guys break my heart in the playoffs every year.
Right.
And but there was something different, and I kept feeling it. I kept like, all right, you know what, man, these guys are just gonna score, they're gonna take over, and they did. And just every facet of the game, we heard about was Derrick Henry and Derrick Henry and more Derrick Henry. And he had a good first half. He had a rushing touchdown, rushed for like 80 or 68 yards. Um, in the second half, he was just not there. He had 6 rushing yards in the second half. And we made exactly what I said our last episode. We made Tannehill try to beat us. And he got a touchdown. He passed for a touchdown. He had some good throws and stuff, but exactly what I said, how to beat Tennessee, the Chiefs did it. And my you know my excitement and the emotions whenever Frank Clark got that last sack, and I thought it was so fitting that Frank Clark was the one that got that sack, because last year when we should have went to the Super Bowl, it was number 55 that cost us, D Ford, who is a San Francisco 49er now.
Yep.
Cost us the AFC Championship game by being offsides. Now it's our new number 55 that made the sack that sealed it.
Right.
And when he did that, and I saw the Chiefs get in their victory formation, man, there was not a dry eye at my party. We were at my sister's. She was crying. My mom was crying. I was crying. Kendra was crying. It, this journey and that moment of finally bringing home the trophy that has our owner's name on it was something experience, but I was never sure that I would get to experience.
Yeah.
And it just, and when you texted me, like, I was just so I didn't know if what was happening was real, and like I started pinching myself because I was like, this can't be real. This cannot be happening. Like this is the Chiefs. We don't do this. And here we are, man. And so they showed up. They played good football from front to back, and they looked like a championship team. They looked like a team that can go in. And for us, I mean, if you've been watching the show, my other two favorite teams are in Miami, the Miami Heat and the Miami Hurricanes. Me and Caleb have went to Miami together and even took in a Heat game. For them to be going to Miami, which is like
that's true.
Yeah, it's just great.
I forgot about that. Yeah, and you used to be from there. That's where you came from. Yep,
I lived there. And for them to be going there and possibly win the Lombardi Trophy, it's just crazy, man. I can't put it into words right now. I can feel myself getting choked up again because it's just, I've been a Chiefs fan my entire life, and it's just something that every year I always say, this is our year, and only for it to not be our year. And I told you one day I was gonna be right, and so I'm finally right, man. And I don't know, that's as someone that's not a fan of. I mean, I guess you root for the Chiefs, but like as someone that that's not their main team. Like, what was your thoughts on it all?
Yeah, I'm gonna the other perspective. Firsthand, like, I definitely wanted the Chiefs to win. I was been rooting for them. Just huge. I'm a fan of the Chiefs. My team's the Steelers, but I really even the years before when they were losing, I started to enjoy the Chiefs more because you've got to watch them on Sunday, and you had the rabbit ears and you only got the Rams or the Chiefs, so you're like, I'll go with the Chiefs, So that they're there, and had to get through some tough years, man, for them Chiefs, man. A lot of interesting talent, Every year, though, it's the Chief fan tell you, man, I feel like we can make the playoffs and do something and get that Super Bowl. And, man, we got Brody Croyle, feeling good about that. We drafted Dwayne, Bo and the wide receivers, the Bolden, I forget his name, but
Jonathan Baldwin.
Yeah, and then you're like, I feel good about it. I'm like, no, man, he's gonna be horrible. It's like you don't draft a wide receiver in the first round, and then all that stuff, man, and then just all the things that have happened to this fan base. This Chiefs Kingdom is an amazing fan base. They truly do love their Chiefs. They live for their Chiefs, especially in this area. It's special, and I think when you think about the Steelers and Chiefs fans, they seem similar to me in some ways. Just blue collar town, that loves their football team, and so you appreciate that. But what I saw in Tennessee, I was honestly a little bit disappointed especially with the second half performance.
Yeah.
I feel like that was a team that panicked. Um, they started kind of throwing the ball on first and second down, and kind of like you were saying, that kind of played into their game plan in the second half. I think they abandoned the schemes and techniques of the run game. I think they could have been more creative offensively
Yeah.
that second half. Um,
Yep.
in that way, I I had never seen Tennessee panic throughout the playoffs. I mean, I think that had been
Yeah.
their biggest asset. Facing the Patriots, facing the Ravens, they didn't panic.
Yeah.
They kept to their game. They kept to their plan. And they just didn't. They didn't make good second half adjustments.
Yeah.
Because what they needed to do is wear down that defense a little bit more. They had to figure, if you're gonna win that game, you can't have three and outs. Tennessee just couldn't.
Yeah.
With the firepower on offense, you can't have that happening. And even if that means you've got to go more on fourth downs for it, and figuring out that you've got a 4-down game, you've got to do it against the Chiefs. And so I personally think they panicked a little bit and just didn't adjust well. What I will say for the Chiefs, Spagnola, throughout this playoff run in the last couple of weeks, he's been a genius at changing up that defense during the second half, making the adjustments that they need. Because you're right, that first half they really didn't do a good job against the run game. They didn't
Mm-mm.
really do a good job in the passing. They didn't figure out how to get pressure going on Tennessee. Usually that means that an offense will get stronger throughout the second half. That was kind of my biggest worry for the Chiefs. Was what Tennessee needed to do was absolutely go on an 80-yard drive that took 10 plays and just wore that defense out. And then that's
Mm-hmm.
what I figured may happen. But kudos to the scheme and the adjustments from the Chiefs. And that's what it takes when you get to these championships games, when you get to the Super Bowl, you've got to make these adjustments
Yeah.
because game plans will change. Because I know the Chiefs and San Fran are going to look at this and they're going to have a game plan, and everything's going to be changed in that second half.
Yeah.
In a couple of weekends. And so, yeah, Chiefs, just like you said, coming back and just absolutely looked like they were on a mission. Um, it's weird that it usually has been taking them about a quarter and a half to get going, and then they're like, "All right,
Mm.
we're ready to go. We're ready to play."
Yeah.
So I know it's like nerve wracking, be like, "Oh man,"
Can't
but
do that
yeah,
in the Super Bowl though.
but
Man.
the next line we were talking about was 50 years it's been for the Chiefs to be in the Super Bowl. Man, I man, it was so cool how kind of like you said, everything's fell into place. Even for the Chiefs to be hosting the AFC Championship also kind of fell into place. And
Yeah.
I know it was Tennessee, so they may have, but I mean, who knows? I mean, the way the seeding would have worked if that still would have played out that way. But it makes it even more special that was in Arrowhead.
Yeah.
Um, and it wouldn't have been the same anywhere else, in a locker room or something, or like on a different field, but
Yeah.
that trophy was there and it wasn't leaving. That's pretty
Yep.
cool, and and it's kind of like what we talked, I feel really good about where the Chiefs are at and going into the Super Bowl, but taking Lamar Hunt trophy back home is still a huge deal. I mean, it's a
Yeah.
huge deal to Chiefs fans. Um, they want to win the Super Bowl, but you could make an argument that it's almost as special to get that Lamar Hunt trophy in Arrowhead. I
Hmm.
don't know. I could be viewing it wrong, but that's what I've kind of heard throughout the years. It's just
Nah.
like that's our
You're
trophy.
Yeah, that and we've never won it before,
Yeah,
and so you're completely right. For if we would have had to go to Baltimore and if we would have won it there or anywhere else, it would still been special because we won the trophy.
yeah,
But for it to be at the stadium Lamar built, you know, it it was just really special.
yeah, and
It would have been special no matter what, but it was something because the Chiefs fans got to be there and to witness it, and it was just it was something that hopefully we'll see again. But if we don't, then that was a moment that for Kansas City, for Lamar's son Clark, for his wife,
Yeah.
that was just a moment that it'll never be like that again.
Right.
And
Right.
it was something, because I at that point I had stopped crying, and then they handed Clark the trophy, and he handed it to his mom, and his mom kissed it, and I was just like, well, here they come. Like, it was, yeah.
Yeah.
uh, what
I
this means for this fan base, I can't put into words. I
right.
really can't.
What's also cool is it's 50 years since the Chiefs have been to the Super Bowl, but this is also the 100th season of the NFL.
Yep.
So that makes it special too.
Yep.
Just all the things. There's a lot of cool things that made this. It'd have been awesome if they would have went last year, but there's just a lot of special things about this year because this year, um, we didn't know if they were gonna make it. We didn't know how they would if we'd get Mahomes back to being Mahomes. There was a lot of
Yeah.
question marks, and for this team to rally and look the way they've looked the past, even when the season ended, especially the past 4 or 5 weeks,
Mm,
really things come together, for them. And
yeah.
I told one of our friends too. What's also special about this is that the Blues won the Stanley Cup last year, so these
Hmm.
fan bases around here are experiencing some winning that they
Yeah.
haven't experienced before. We
Yep.
had winning in baseball, but never in hockey or football. So that's pretty
Yeah.
cool. I mean, besides the Rams. I mean, the Rams in the
Yeah.
early 2000s. But can we? But but most people in this area and most of the state are Chiefs fans. So
Yeah. I don't think Missouri ever really embraced the Rams like Sam Kroenke wanted them to,
yeah,
and that I think that's one of the reasons why he eventually would go back to LA. But I think the state has always just been a Chiefs state. Like it's always been the Chiefs and then the Rams. It was never. And like I've talked to other people, and I've even talked to Rams fans. Even when the Rams were winning, going to Super Bowls and winning Super Bowls, they were always second fiddle, and that's nothing against their greatness, because we got to see the greatest show on turf, tear up football fields, but it was always still just this was about like this is still like the Chiefs. Missouri belongs to the Chiefs,
right.
and it's just it's something special about that team. Like they've never like we've had our hearts broken so many times by that team, but we always just come back in August and September like, all right, this is our year. Like, here we
yeah,
go. Let's do
yeah,
this.
yeah. It's
So
no, it's really cool. And the similar feeling was when Alabama won their first national championship. It's probably because I mean
yeah,
the Steelers had been winning. They just had to get to it, and you kind of felt like they would. But
yeah,
the way when Nick Saban came and changed the culture of Alabama, where all the sanctions had been on Alabama, like people forget pre-dynasty Alabama was really bad, like
yeah,
winning like 5 to 6 games a year. Like that was Alabama pre-Saban,
yeah,
where we were happy going to the Cotton Bowl. Like that was a good thing.
yeah,
Um, but then we were both in high school, and then you experiencing something that you never thought that you would see. Like as an
yeah,
Alabama fan, I would have never, before Nick Saban and those teams came, I wouldn't have imagined. I was a huge fan. Just you just didn't think that Alabama would be the way that they used to be, and uh, and then 5 championships later, so
yeah,
but the first one's just special, and yeah, and that's the thing, just with this Chiefs team, they are set up for the future as well, which is another great asset too. So
Yeah.
um,
Oh,
yeah.
but
So the next question we pose, unless you had any other thoughts on that, Jamie.
no.
Yeah. The next question we posed, and so let me kind of preface kind of the thought behind this. And so, question was, is Mahomes the MVP of all sports? So, when we think about MVP, somebody who takes their team to another level, you also think entertainment wise, world recognition, um, like who like you add this piece to your team kind of brings you a championship or is going to take over that league. And so I've got two people in mind for sure. I think we both probably have these two people. Um, but there's kind of one thought I've had and wanted to get kind of your feedback too. But Jamie, when you saw this question, what were kind of your thoughts?
Well, you know, when I think about it, I think about LeBron. Because he's for years he's been the best athlete in all of sports. When you put him on a team, usually that team's going to the finals. Except last year. Last year was his first year that he didn't go to the finals. I don't even think they made the playoffs. Um, and when I think of this question, because I've been like looking at it since you asked me, what would you want to go over that, and I think championships. And so as of right now, I would say no. Mahomes is not the MVP of all sports. Um, as of right now. Um, is he the best football player in the NFL? Yeah. Um, but I can't put him as the MVP of all sports yet. Ask me this question again after February 2nd. Could possibly change. Ask me this in 10 years. I'll probably agree then. But as of right now, with just two seasons under his belt, I can't say that he's the MVP of all sports.
Yeah.
At least not yet.
Yeah, and I yeah, and I get and I tend to agree with what you're saying because the closest thing that I can think to kind of this Mahomes deal is I kind of think honestly kind of Cam Newton at his prime.
Yeah.
We had never seen a guy who's the size of a quarter or tight end who's fast and can throw. And his MVP season was stellar. And
Yeah.
like how do you stop Cam Newton? And you think about where he's been years since after Super Bowl 50. It's been and
Probably going to be looking for another team this offseason.
that it's a possibility with that too.
Mm-hmm.
And but with that said, there's still, and I thought about Cam, but then I was like, man, Mahomes is just so different, even from Cam Newton. Um,
Mm-hmm.
the way that he sees the field, throws the ball, makes these throws that you're just like, you shouldn't do that.
Yeah.
Like that was crazy that you pulled that off. Like, had never seen
Mm-hmm.
that from somebody before, and how young he is to be dominating a league in a second year. It's incredible what Mahomes has done. And the brand he's already built in 1 year.
Yeah.
He's gonna be one of the he's already topped the jersey sales. He's gonna have
Mm-hmm.
more commercials. Like, he will be one of the fastest ever to grow as a sports celebrity that we've ever
Yeah.
seen. I mean,
Yeah.
you think about his brand. Um, if he had a little bit more of the uh, swagger, maybe it's the word, as an MJ or something like that. But Mahomes, I think Holmes a little is a humble kid. Um, You think about
Hmm.
Michael Jordan, but in the brand he built, I don't know if Mahomes could ever get to that level, but the likability is there.
Yeah.
But could you ever sell like Michael like made himself a living legend, and that's what he kind
Yeah.
of built into the his brand of Michael Jordan. You
Yeah.
could. The crazy thing about Michael Jordan and even Kobe Bryant to a sense, and I don't even know if LeBron's starting to get there too, is you can go all over planet Earth and you could say Michael Jordan and people would know who you're talking about.
Yeah.
Like, and but going back to the question, I tend to agree with you about LeBron.
Hmm.
It's just I at the same time I also really love what Mahomes has done for this Kansas City Chiefs team, because you think about the pieces that were there. I don't think you can just put any quarterback and make it work like he has.
No.
You saw it kind of like with Alex Smith, um, and Alex Smith is still a decent quarterback,
Hmm.
and he's shown that. But he took this team to a whole nother level, um, and took this league to a whole nother level. Um,
Yeah.
and so that's in the consider because the biggest argument was like for LeBron is and for Mahomes, he still had to have guys around him, right? I mean,
Yeah.
the closest thing, the best if you think about just as individual play was actually his first stint with the Cavaliers where he got them to the finals. But they got
Yeah.
swept in the finals. But you could say just like carrying a team that year for LeBron was probably that first year. But then you go to Miami
Hmm.
where you need help, but you get Bosh and you get Dwayne Wade and you get the franchise that is well run by Pat Riley. He
Yeah.
falls into another good situation with the Cavs, and then this year, you got to put the right pieces around him. But same thing for Mahomes. But I
Yeah.
think, I think you can, like I've always said about the NBA, I think you can buy championships. I don't
Hmm.
think in the NFL you can buy a championship. You've got to have a
Hmm.
lot more pieces to go. You have to do a lot more in the NFL than you do in the NBA to get yourself a championship.
Yeah.
And that's the big difference. But I also feel like Pat Mahomes, you put other pieces around him because he's shown it this year that he still makes it work. Like he still makes it go.
Yeah.
So that's what also makes him special. So the wild card I would throw out to you is what I saw Saturday night. And I don't know if you caught wind of what happened Saturday night. We had some UFC going on Saturday night.
Hmm.
You had Cowboy Cerrone and you had Conor McGregor being the headliner, the match event, the main card. Um, you know, I'm watching the prelims, watching the fights. Um, but man, as soon as Conor, every time I've watched Conor McGregor, this world goes like whether you hate him, whether you love him, whether you're indifferent, you're watching Conor McGregor. I don't care who
Oh
you
yeah.
are. I don't. I don't like. I
He's
don't
my favorite UFC fighter.
like
Period.
like
I love Connor.
man and that's the thing like how can he actually have fans? Like I thought about that the other day.
Yeah.
How can this dude actually get me as well to like him? I have never like
Hmm.
any other sport I've been like, no man, like you've got to have more class, you got to have more character, all these things. But like for Connor, I'm like, that dude's cool. Like you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
I'm watching
He's crazy.
Connor the whole entire way, and I know it's an individual sport, so I don't know if it's fair or unfair. But I'm throwing Conor McGregor into this mix because what he has done, like people just always I feel underrate the skill and technique that it takes in boxing and UFC.
Hmm.
Like the amount of like work that you've got to put in for those matches. Like you know, it's not just wrestling. It's all of it. And for Conor
Yeah.
McGregor in three different weight classes to have knockouts is incredible to me, and have hold two different belts. It's insane,
Hmm.
man.
Yeah.
Like when I heard, I'm like, that's crazy. I mean, he knocked out Cowboy Cerrone in 40 seconds.
Yeah.
Like it was over, and he beat him in a
Yeah.
new way. He beat Cerrone in a new style that nobody's ever seen. He basically used his shoulder to beat Cerrone, and then
Yeah.
kicks him, gets him down, and the match is over.
Yeah.
But you can't keep your eyes off of Conor McGregor, and it's an individual
Mm-mm.
sport. There is no other pieces. There's nothing else around him, and the world loves him. So is
Yeah.
it fair or not fair for us to throw Conor McGregor into this mix?
Oh, that's totally fair. That's totally fair. Because whenever you're looking at an MVP, the most valuable player, and most so if you throw Mahomes into that category, I say it's early, but you can put Michael Jordan, LeBron James, definitely Conor McGregor into that category because when it comes right down to it, that's who you're going. Like when you say there's a Conor McGregor fight, yeah, like they're talking about who he's going to fight next, and they're already saying he's going to fight summer, and it's like, well, okay, take my money. Like
Yeah,
we're gonna watch this, and so yeah, that definitely
he's
you
the only
can't.
guy that I like make time to go and watch. Like I'll sit there
Yeah.
through all the prelims and all that
Hmm.
just to watch McGregor. I don't do that for any other UFC fighter except for maybe
Hmm.
Tony Ferguson. I may do that for Tony Ferguson.
Yeah.
Khabib, Tony Ferguson. That's going to be a good
Yeah.
fight. I tell you what.
Yeah.
Um,
Yeah.
but I nobody talked about that. You know, everybody was talking about Mahomes or LeBron, Mahomes or LeBron. Man, I'm like, man,
Hmm.
throw Connor some like
Yeah.
into this, man. I know they got beat by Khabib and that was a big deal, but three different weight classes to do what he's done and to fight one of the best boxers and go toe to toe with him for 10 rounds. I mean,
Yeah.
give him like it's incredible, man. Like
Hmm.
and you just think about like your eyes like you are watching Connor the whole time. Like
Yeah.
there's just something every act he is so intentional like with his walk-in music, the way that he walks, everything is planned, everything is so detailed, and he knows the effect that he's making. That's what's crazy about Conor
Yeah.
McGregor. Like he's so precise and like just knowing what people want to see, you know.
Yeah.
So I don't know. So yeah, I'm throwing Connor in there. If I'm if we're strictly going Mahomes or LeBron, oh man, that's tough. That's just tough, man. Because I've just never, like I told you, it's just Mahomes. It's just a whole nother level, whole
Hmm.
nother level, man. But I do agree with you. You know, you've got to get a championship. I think
Yeah.
you gotta finish the deal. You got to finish the
Yeah.
deal. Yep.
Yep.
Um, the last point. What was the last point, Jamie? That we were talking about tonight.
Um. Well, we skipped around a little bit because the Mahomes MVP thing was the last point.
Oh,
So I mean, we
gotcha.
we can we can talk about the Super Bowl
Yeah, we
again.
got the first thoughts of that. Yeah,
Yeah.
I'm I'm not sure what I think at this point because, like I said, Spagnola, the adjustments that he makes on defense, that's going to be a huge aspect to this game. I feel
Hmm.
uh, it's it's just it comes down to where I've always felt like the Chiefs were weaker in the trenches,
Hmm.
and I felt that may have been that's also kind of what it's looking. But at the same time, I mean, they've been scheming it well. So I didn't know what you have been seeing.
Um. as we've said all season, the 49ers offense does not scare me. It just hasn't. And I think that the main key to that is Garoppolo. That's not to say they're not good, because obviously they are. Their run game is turning out to be pretty good, but their defense is what scares me. Their defense can get after people. And so I think right now for the Chiefs to have success, they need to go back and watch the tape of when the 49ers played Seattle both times. They need to be able to move Mahomes around, not stand in the pocket. Because if he stands in the pocket, he's going to get killed. And so he needs to be able to move around, and his wide receivers need to move with him. Keep their eye on him, and don't take unnecessary throws. Do some slant routes, little things like just. I know Mahomes. I've watched him for 2 years now. He loves to take that deep pass. He loves to chunk plays. But I think in this game, he's going to have to take small plays. He's going to have to take these little short slant routes and just kind of dime them until they can, get one over the top. Because
Right.
they're going to get one. Um, but I think the most important thing is Mahomes needs to be able to move, and he's gonna have to run, because I have a feeling he's gonna be running for his life a couple times, and so just being able to move in the pocket, and because that was one thing about Aaron Rodgers that I noticed, he was too he looked like he did not want to step up into the pocket. And I think that's why he was having such a hard time with this defense, is because they were coming after him. And so for Mahomes, he needs to be able to move in the pocket, and whenever he needs, step up into it and plant your foot and make that throw. And eliminating mistakes at this point, that needs to be key, because the 49ers are a team that you're not going to want to fall behind.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah.
you know,
I've been thinking about this today. I've heard some on some radio, some people calling in, like somebody was saying, "Yeah, I'm glad that it wasn't Green Bay, because Green Bay was a tougher matchup for the Chiefs and San Francisco," which I don't really agree with.
mm-mm,
Um, and I get the whole Aaron Rodgers aspect. I think there was actually, you know, but what are I'm trying to I I know that San Francisco is the best coming out of the NFC, but I was also trying to think, was there a team from the NFC side that would have been potentially more of a problem than San Francisco? Um, and I guess if the Saints would have been 100% the Saints,
mm-hmm.
that would have been, a good. I don't know. That would have been a harder matchup maybe for the Chiefs. But you're
Mm-hmm.
right. I mean, the offense for the 49ers isn't the strongest offense that the Chiefs have faced, right?
No.
Um, and, you know, it, and the Chiefs they've got an answer at every position. And strangely enough, I thought also Damian Williams, the running back for the Chiefs, his last couple of weeks he's had some really good games.
Mm-hmm.
Which I was kind of down on Damian Williams, kind of throughout the season, but kind of here lately, and especially that's the other thing I noticed during the Tennessee game. He really found the holes. He was really a part of the wide receiver, the passing game. Um,
Mm-hmm.
so that's what's tough about this Chiefs team, is that they've got weapons at every position where you could say, you know, people talk about McCole Hardman and Tyreek Hill, but let me tell you, Sammy Watkins is by far their best second wide receiver, and mainly just because of
Mm-hmm.
his route running. I mean,
Yeah.
there was a pass on Sunday where because of the way he ran his route, he stuck his hands out and was able to make a catch.
Yeah.
So and from what I've experienced, what I've watched, Sammy Watkins is the best route runner on the Chiefs.
Yeah, I would
Tyreek
agree.
Tyreek Hill is the speedster. He's going to beat you with his speed.
Mm-hmm.
Sometimes I feel like his routes are sloppy. On Sunday
Mm-hmm.
too, you could kind of see that. Um, but Sammy Watkins is a solid. Mahomes knows where Watkins is going to be at, and
Yeah,
that's what's going to be a huge key to this game is he's got to know where Tyreek is Hill. When you're facing a defense, you've got to stick with your route. You've got to be
yeah,
aware of where your quarterback's at and the situation. Um, and man, you've got Sammy Watkins, McCole Hardman, and Tyreek Hill and Travis Kelsey that you're trying to
mm-hmm.
cover. That's a job, man. That's a job
Yeah,
for. So and the old line has shown that they're getting better too. So
yeah,
um, I think the Chiefs should be favored, mainly because they've got Mahomes.
yeah,
What have we said all season? You look at the quarterbacks, and if you think they're pretty even, you go with the quarterback. And
yeah,
unless Mahomes has a bad game, which he's never had, so this may be his
yeah.
first. You
His
know,
bad game is usually a good game for most quarterbacks. So
exactly. Like his worst
yeah,
game was against where gets hurt or something. I don't- you know
yeah,
so you know I like I really like where the Chiefs are at. Um, it's you look up matchup wise, and I agree with you. It's just the 49ers, man. We've doubted them all season, and that's where I come back to is
yeah,
I've been like I don't understand it, but they keep winning.
yeah,
And are they going to keep that up during the Super Bowl? It's like I don't understand it, but they kept winning. Like,
yep,
I mean, I understand parts of it, but then parts of me was just like, man, how are they that good? Like,
yeah,
but so uh, I guess that's what we got for the first week for previewing this thing, and then
yeah.
figuring out like where we're at next week. But it's exciting, man. It's congratulations, man. This is really
Yeah.
cool. And
Uh,
just as long as we've been friends, you've had to endure torment and you know, um, man, and yeah. So it's awesome, and be rooting for them. Unlike you do for
mm,
me, you usually root against the Steelers when they play. I won't hold that against
ah,
you, man.
yeah.
But when we started this podcast, this is the first time that they have gone to the Super Bowl, so you could thank me. So that's right. No,
Thank you.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. You just had to root for the Cardinals, man. You just had to root. I'll never not bitter about that. That's probably the most bitter I've ever been, and
you
so
had
and
you
so
had five
thankful,
wins, five Super Bowl wins at that point. Cardinals don't have any.
dude.
Come on.
Dude, you went against the bro code. You
Oh my
do
gosh.
realize that. You were sitting in my house and you went against the family. And you
Uh
did that.
huh.
You chose the Cardinals over the family. And that's
Well,
unforgivable. You
we saw how it ended.
you'd be
Obviously,
left
I
in a
chose poorly.
cornfield if we were in The Godfather. Yeah, in a cornfield.
Oh God. Oh man.
I'm
Ugh.
telling you, man. But I forgive you because I'm a Christ follower and that's what we're supposed to do. And I'm not bitter and never will be in my
Thank
house. Anyways, so hope you guys enjoyed the show tonight. Please let us know what you want us to talk about. We've got Super Bowl coming up. Got NBA things going on. Zion
Yep.
Williams made his premiere tonight after being injured. So catch some
Yep.
highlights with that. Go watch some Zion. That'll be cool. Um, and so just let us know. Let us know. I mean, we're gonna need more topics. Football season's coming to an end. I know we've got draft and all that, but let us know things that we're not seeing.
Yeah.
The whole transfer thing, the free agency. A lot of quarterbacks have retired are going to
Mm-hmm.
retire. I feel like there's possible Philip Rivers, Eli Manning's already retired today, so there's a lot of
Yep.
moving pieces that are going to be involved. So, um, So we got football, we got a lot of sports, and that's how we keep rolling. We'll always have some
Yeah,
sort of story to follow, I'm sure. So
yeah,
let us know what's going on. Jamie, any final words?
not much. Just again, thanks for all the support, all the followers. Um, Comment with anything that you guys want to talk about, and I'm usually pretty close, and I'll you know try to talk to you, and so just we love you guys. Thank you for the support.
All right, you guys have an amazing night.